Okay, awesome. Oh, should I change it for my name?
Or what's ever best. So all right, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Model Talk Tuesday. Students, I hope you all had a great week. I know we have been off, but we are back with an amazing guest. She is actually Jessica's mom, stepmother, Jessica, our fashion coordinator. So please help me welcome Phara Henry to the show.
Thank
Yeah.
you for having me. Yes, thank you for having me.
So we're super excited, Phara, because we don't get a lot of magazine owners on this platform to interview. So we're going to have a bunch of questions for you. I'm not sure if you're familiar with our school platform, but our focus is modeling leadership and entrepreneurship. So we like to bring different people on so that the students can, just gain some insight on the industry that they're going into.
Okay, that's good. That's great.
Yes. So Phara, you told me earlier that you're a teacher. So
Yes. So I teach secretarial study, and I also teach styling and event coordination.
Okay, styling and event coordination. Okay, awesome. So let's start from the beginning. Tell us where you're from. Tell us a little bit about your background, your foundation.
Yes. So I study in fashion marketing in college. I also studied in university fashion marketing, and I studied administration, business, and I have a couple of degrees in entrepreneurship, in sales, in
Wow.
language, and in secretarial studies, and in English studies. So I'm not that young. I'm not that young. And basically, I worked for a hat designer when
Well, let's start before we get that, Phara. Where were you born? Like, where were you born
okay.
and raised?
I was born in Canada, in Montreal.
Okay. Okay.
I'm presently in Canada, so in the suburbs, not in Montreal anymore, because the older you get, the slower things get. So you like calm and peace. So I was born here. My parents are from Haiti. They came in the 70s. So my mother worked in a factory sewing clothing and everything.
Okay.
So the typical. And so that's it. So I did my studies here. I studied English also in England. I
Oh,
traveled a bit.
wow.
Yes.
That's wonderful. So why I want us to get the foundation. You were born in Montreal, Canada, and then you mentioned your degrees. What I want to know is what interests you first in fashion. So you mentioned that your mom, did sewing. So what got you into fashion? Because when I hear your degrees, fashion marketing, you have a magazine. What was the entry point?
At first, when I was in high school, I wanted to be a photographer.
Okay,
So
okay.
this is what I wanted to do. And the counselor told me, you're good in maths. Why don't you go into administration, business, and everything? So I actually went in college in administration. And what happened is in 90, I'm not going to reveal my name, but in the 90s, I went to college, and there was a strike. The student union strike did a strike, and we were left with 6 months or more than 6 months not having classes and or anything. So me, I have to do something. So I was like, okay, this is like not happening. Anyways, I went to private school when I was in high school. So when I got to college, to public college, it was like too easy, or things that I done in high school that we're doing it now. And I was like, okay, this is not going fast enough. I'm not learning. I'm like, what's going on? I need things to move. So during the strike, I registered in fashion marketing because I really love visual. I used to take out pages from magazine, put them on my wall. Ads from perfume. I really like ad from perfume ads. So I did like mosaic on my wall when I was younger. And since I like the creative side of photography and the whole concept, the visual. So I was like, okay, then fashion marketing would be a good fit, since like I got sidetracked. So I went to study that. So this is how I went into fashion. I always love having my own style, and I was never dressed the same as the kid. I was never in fashion. I had my own fashion signature. So
Yeah.
this is why I went into fashion marketing, because I was like, okay, it balances in business and creativity. So I said I could find my fit there. It was like a great compromise, let's say. So my parents were happy about it, and I was happy because it was more creative. So this is how I got into the fashion in school per se.
Okay, awesome. So let's get into that, because I have a lot of friends that major in fashion, that go to school for fashion, but they may not pursue fashion, or they may pursue fashion. But let's talk about your first job out of college. And just for, anybody that may be listening, how does that look? Because you may not be able to land, a fashion job straight out of college. So what was your experience?
I think maybe the misconception of finishing a fashion degree, a marketing fashion degree, is that you're going to be a stylist and it's going to be all glam and all pretty. And so my first job, I worked in boutiques and stores at the mall. I started when I was 17. So when I finished college, this degree, I went to work in Toronto for a shoe importer. So I was doing basically admin work, letters of credit, importing goods, shipping, and all the administration. There was nothing glamorous and and fashionista about that job, but I think it's good. It's a good start also for business, so you understand the business of fashion, because it is a business. So that was my first job. And then my second one was I worked for that that hat designer that still has a boutique and sells in Europe and Toronto, New York, and everything. So when I started working there, it was a little bit more exciting, because I got to do trade shows in New York and in Toronto, like at least 5 or 6 times a year. So I travel like that, but I was in charge of production now. So telling people like, okay, this is the order that we have to do, and ordering the goods to make the hats, the feathers, the fabrics, and everything. So now it was purchasing more. So my first job was more coordinating stocks, and now it was about production. So how exactly, okay, taking pictures of samples and doing a little lookbook. So it got a little bit more fun, I would say, or a little bit more creative, and a little bit more, I had more responsibilities. So this was fun, and more selling. Now I had to sell at trade shows. You had to sell to buyers to present your goods and everything. So it was a good base to eventually start my business. So everything that I was doing, when you look back, helped me towards the next step. So never take for granted the job that you're doing, even though it's not like your dream job, because by selling in the stores, by starting in boutiques, then when I was selling in New York and Toronto, I had techniques to sell. I'm not selling to the same person, but I am at least selling. The concept of selling, I knew that. I was not shy. I knew my product. I could suggest other product or a complementary product. So, and that was my job when I was 17. Now I'm in my 20s. Now I'm selling in New York. I'm selling in Toronto, but I'm selling to buyers now. So, and eventually, after that, where did I go? I was a stylist. So I did stylist.
Let's talk about that as well. So you all students, just to get a recap, Phara is, I'm so happy I'm connected to you because I didn't realize this wealth of experience, but she's talking about how she started out administratively ordering stock and then going into trade shows and coordinating shows. So there's so much that you can do in the industry, but I know a lot of the students are interested in styling because we're in Atlanta, Phara, and it's this whole Black Hollywood, film. So could you talk a little bit about that and what careers, they can have in styling?
So stylings, what I did personally was I started styling at doing fashion shows at malls. So I worked for an agency that was doing those seasonal fashion shows for the mall to represent every stores that was in the mall. So I helped organize that fashion show, and I was styling also people that I knew that wanted to go shopping, didn't know what to buy. So when you have a friend or you have a friend of a friend that doesn't know how to dress, even though you're not gonna get paid, do it, because it gives you that experience. So experience doesn't mean that you're getting money for. It's just now you know where to shop, how to dress that certain type of body, so you have the opportunity to dress different type of bodies, silhouettes.
Mm-hmm. I like that tip. So styling your friends. And then I also thought you were going to go into, as a stylist, there's personal shoppers, people that fix closets or rearrange closets for executive women and different things like that. Okay, well, let's get into your newest creation. So Jessica has told me that you all have just launched this magazine. I want to make sure I pronounce it right. So I'm going to leave it to you to introduce it. So tell us about this new project, this new venture.
Yeah, so Nuance Magazine, Nuance, you say it in English.
Nuance.
Nuance.
Yeah.
Is we're actually we started in 2019.
Okay.
So last 2 weeks ago was our reveal of our 9th edition.
Okay.
So Nuance is basically how do I start? So it's basically a mixture. This business is a mixture of everything I did. I had also, if I go back, when I think about it, I had an agency where I represented lines of accessories. So different designers. So I had an agency like that. So we went to see big stores, chain stores, and suggest then those products. So I had that too.
Wow. You're so entrenched in so many facets.
Yeah. So I had a line of clothing too. We did a fashion show in Montreal. There's an event called Montreal Mode et Design, Fashion and Design, that's in Montreal in the summer. So I did my own fashion show in 2006. The magazine in itself, it started in 2013. I was diagnosed with MS, and I didn't quite like what they were telling me at the hospital. They were not leading me to anywhere than taking pills. So I'm like, okay, there has to be something. I mean, am I eating the right things? Because MS, they don't have really a cause for MS. They don't know the reason why, but it's mostly North American, and in Europe, they have mostly MS. So there's not really MS in Asia or Latin America or Haiti for that matter. Even my parents asked me, where did you catch it? It's not it's not an STD.
Right.
So it's so I figured it was my lifestyle was not right. There was something off. And so the magazine in itself, because I worked in other things. I worked for an association for handicapped people.
Okay.
So I did that too. So let's go back. And so the magazine itself, it's I say it's a collective of of all my experience, there is fashion in the magazine, but we talk about fashion in a different type of way, like sustainable clothing,
Okay.
eco-responsible,
Okay.
secondhand, how you make you can make a style out of, you don't necessarily need to buy new clothes to have a style. So the last magazine that we that came out is this one, and
Yeah.
it's all secondhand.
Nice.
It's all secondhand. I don't know if you could go
With the
on.
cover, did you do the styling for the cover?
The styling, I actually I actually hired somebody, a stylist, a well-known stylist in Montreal, to do the styling
It's
for
nice.
this
It's
magazine.
nice. It's
At
nice.
that point, I can't do everything, so
Yeah.
I would love to do some styling, but at least what happened is I know what I want and what it's supposed to look like. So when I get to talk to the stylist, there's a direction, okay? There's a direction of my magazine, and after I let her do her, like, work her magic, but at least I know what I want, what it's supposed to look like. So at the photo shoot, I'm there and saying, okay, the stylist is like, okay, but I'm like, okay, this is what I want it to look. This is not good. This dress is not good, or whatever it is. So I'm still the boss of the stylist, you know? So you have to know what you want also. So the magazine, if I could put you in context, in Montreal, in Canada, we are, there's less Black people than in in the States. And mostly the magazine in Quebec, because for now our magazine is in French, but next year it'll be in English too.
Okay.
Because Canada is French and English, but mostly English. But in Quebec, the province, is mostly French speaking people that we have here. But the mainstream magazine don't necessarily, they do not represent the whole diversity of colors that is in Canada.
In our community, in the community. Yes.
Okay, so it's not necessarily I didn't necessarily want it to do a magazine only for Black. First of all, we're not that much. If I was in the state, I could have done that, like I could have done an Essence type of magazine, but not here. And so the diversity was not represented as it should be. And every time there's a Black person on the magazine, or whatever color it is, it's usually type of an event. It's a special edition of something. It's, you know, so why does it have to be a special edition? Why can it be the norm? So the girl that's on the cover right now, she is, I don't know if you could, you guys should go and look at her IG and her Facebook. Her name is Lolita Dendoy. And she's been 20 years in the fashion industry in Canada and Montreal. She's a very popular person here in the fashion industry. And she's half Peruvian and half Belge. So that was the first thing, the first reason why I wanted to do the magazine. And the second reason was about health and health, beauty, and wellness and lifestyle. Most magazine, there's a lot of pages, and you flip through a lot of ads. And I really wanted the magazine to be a reference. So people that buy our magazine could buy this one, could buy the one from last year. So it's not a fashionista magazine, it's a reference magazine.
Okay.
So when we'll talk about fashion, it will be for example, what would you wear to go to let's say during the pandemic, the interview were on Zoom. So how do I dress on Zoom? okay, you can put your PJs there, but what's going on here? Like, how do you present yourself, or what are the accessories and things like that? So it's really about the basic and eco-responsible fashion, and new designer that makes leggings out of bottles, water bottles, or things like that. So like it really
the forward, you're going
yes.
forward with where fashion is. So who would pick up this magazine? Like, who is your typical, your target market?
So my target market is between 25 and 45
Okay,
mostly.
okay.
But I would say most of people that buy the magazine are women between 35 and 45.
Okay.
So people that like to sit down and actually read the magazine and not just flip through pages. And I know when you're a student in fashion, you buy magazine for the pictures. You know, you buy the magazine for the pictures because you want to get inspired. But at that point, this magazine is really to educate and get your lifestyle right, and really go back and to the magazine and see, okay, what are the little tricks I could use to relax, or to take care of myself, or the new vegan soap that's good for my skin and
I
things like
got
that.
you.
Yeah.
I understand. I like that direction. So it's almost like a holistic, natural lifestyle for with not mid-age, but 25 to 45. Now, my question is, to me, the magazine world has transitioned, to online, because you were mentioning people sitting down and reading. I almost feel like even with Vogue, it just seems like the magazine industry is changing. So what can you say about that? Like, have you
So
seen?
this is the reason why we decided to do the magazine as a reference.
Reference book? Yes,
Yeah, type
yes.
of like a
Mhm.
book.
Yeah.
And we also offer the magazine digitally. You could buy a digital copy of the magazine, but maybe I'm old school. But during the pandemic, being online and being on Zoom and being on social media, it's really fast information. When there's a post where the person writes like 3-4 paragraph, most people don't get to the end of what they're like. It's like quick. And with TikTok it's even quicker. And Snapchat, I'm not on Snapchat. I tried it, forget it, it's not for me.
Yeah.
So Snapchat is faster than TikTok. So and in that holistic the way, sitting down, and people actually, the feel of a magazine is not the same thing as watching a magazine, looking at a magazine online. Even for student in fashion, I'm sure they still buy magazine, physical magazine, because you like to go back and see, and you see this is the editorial that we
Oh,
have.
nice.
And,
Nice.
it's now it's we did a plus size.
That's
Um, yeah.
beautiful.
So so sitting down and
Show
looking at
me more. Hold on. Show us more. Show us more. Nice.
maybe I could if we have time I could share
Yeah,
maybe.
let me share the screen because it's a 30-minute platform. And Jessica, I see you in the chat room. Shariana, I see you in the chat room. Thank you for joining. Let me go ahead and share. Yeah, because it'd be great for the students. And now let me ask you this. So if any of the students, our adult students, wanted to appear in the magazine, do you have a submission process, or how does that work?
You mean, well, you mean about ads?
Yeah, or doing a spread, like you know how you have your editorials in the magazine. If
Yes,
mhm.
we usually have stylists and photographer approach us, wanted to publish their work.
Mhm.
We haven't yet contracted
Mhm.
people to do our own, because we also want to give a window to beginners and people that's striving in the industry that not necessarily are well known or international, to give that chance to photographers, stylists to get their work published. So that's something else. And local businesses too. So the ads in the magazine will help out local business, to somebody that's doing vegan soap or
Yeah.
something like that, candles and things like that. So we're open to that. So if ever your student, I'm giving I'm throwing this out there. So if ever you have editorial, a fashion editorial that you want to
Okay.
submit to us,
Okay.
this is also possible. We could also see what we could do about that.
There you go, students. Phara, do you mind saying an email address, or where could they send it?
Yes, so it would be info. Maybe I could put it in the chat.
That box,
That'd
yes.
be good. Info at Nuances Magazine.com. This is right.
Okay, awesome.
So if you guys would want to submit your,
because they're taking portfolio pictures, they want, publishing credits and different things like that. So yes, okay. Well, that is wonderful. Okay, and I did give you sharing capabilities. So while you're sharing, can you share the most rewarding thing about starting your own magazine, and then the most challenging?
The most challenging is that I would say there's not a lot of people starting a magazine. It's not like starting my own line of soaps and candles. So it is a challenge to be seen, but it's been 3 years now, or it's basically in magazine world, it's our 4th year. And people are appreciating the fact that we are promoting local businesses, because those local businesses cannot buy an ad for ad in, here we have El Quebec, there's El Paris and LL, but we have El Quebec also, like only because it's in French, for targeted to the French community in Quebec. And if I'm not mistaken, you're in the $19,000 or $10,000 for a page. So a small business cannot afford that. So the challenge is to I would say the challenge is for me, because I get no sleep.
Yeah, got you. But you love what you're doing though, right? You're passionate about what you're doing.
Yeah, so I'm not counting in the hours, and I'm also a teacher. So but when you're doing it for the greater good, and you have a purpose, and the first reason is not money, is really a fulfillment, also a personal fulfillment, because now I'm my own boss, and I decide, like, if I want to talk about fashion, now I'm talking about fashion. If I want to put a popular singer like this one, I put a popular singer,
nice. That's beautiful.
So I think it's there's always challenges in business. It's mostly the structure. It's not the creative part. It's the business part that's challenging. You're hiring people, having the time, and then managing your husband and your kids in between all of that. But I guess if there's no challenge, there's no business, and there's no point. Yeah.
Well, that's one way to look at it.
There's no challenge, there's no point.
Right.
You're not striving, you're not striving to be better.
Yeah.
So for me, I take it as a pride, because I'm one of the few. I'm one of the few. And I think I can't spit on that, but it's business challenge. It's business challenge to get the marketing is something. Once you created that magazine, there's a lot of things to do related to that. So this is where it's not only creativity. So planning the cover is a lot of fun. Like, tell me it's a lot of fun, because you're like, okay, but it's really the business side. So that's why my experience in business, because I was a buyer for a chain store also. So I know the odds and end of like importing, the costs. I guess that you guys have a class on cost and everything.
Yeah, finance. Yes, finance. Yes.
So so and I also had I was importing, I had a jewelry business also, where I used to make jewelries. I don't know, I don't have anything. I used to make jewelries with ties,
With
with hair
ties.
ties. Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
And doing brooch with Swarovski crystal and everything. And before that, we had an importing business where we sold to chain store. We made our design, and it was made in India, if I'm not mistaken. We had India, and we had local people doing the jewelries, and we sell to chain stores and boutiques. Yes. So there
nice.
it goes.
Nice. Okay.
I don't know if you see, am I sharing my screen?
Yeah, yeah, and I see you scrolling it, so I'm so happy that you're we were able to see this, and the students are able to see the magazine. So you all follow Nuance Magazine. Let me get the Instagram, or if you don't mind saying the Instagram, Phara.
Yes, it's the same thing. It's Nuance Magazine, at Nuance Magazine.
Okay, this is nice.
So it's Miss Jerry is a well-known stylist here in Montreal. She's the one that was styling our cover, and she was the rédactrice en chef invitée, the editor. Would that be it in English? To plan what was what were the subject of our article. So
Okay.
we are, it's in French. So it's time for you guys to learn French and to go to Paris.
Yes, we definitely want to go to Paris, and we definitely want to learn French.
So it's time for you guys, buy the magazine and start reading.
Yes, maybe that's something that we can do monthly as an assignment or something. Give us, that's a good idea.
Yes.
That's a good idea, Phara.
So so the people that write in a magazine are specialists in either consulting, a chef. Faraja here makes a recipe, a special recipe for us in the magazine. So so that's it. This is the magazine, really fast.
So this is also targeted to women that are, because, you were talking about a lot of natural and healthy things, women that are looking, okay, got you, yes.
So as I scroll down, you see the color of the rainbow. So,
diversity, yes.
So all the clothing that we use in this shoot is secondhand.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And it looks great styling, great hats off to the style.
And here we talked about it's orchestra that is only with diverse diversity. So it's called l'Ensemble Obiera. So they're the founder of this orchestra. So actually, you're going to see some pictures. This is what happened in Montreal. So you should buy this one so you know what's going on in Montreal. It's also a fashion city. So this is the fashion editorial that we put talk about plus size and how in plus size before it was the clothing that was offered to plus size were really gray and black and not like if you're plus size you can't be in fashion or you can't be fashionable. So this is the fashion editorial that
she better work too. Work sis, because she is posing. Yeah.
So actually we put some pictures of actually the event that's every year in Montreal. It's fashion and design.
Okay.
And there's a couple of pictures and we talk about how here it says mode intemporelle is la mode, is it not in fashion anymore, or is it
still in style? Is it a trend or is it a fad?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, got you.
So this is a couple of designer. There's Krikou, and she does like high end with those what's the name? Oh, I forgot the name of the fabric. The African fabric. In French it's the pang, but in English I don't have the word. The African fabrics. But she does high hand. So Elmer, I don't know if you know, he's an international designer. He does like great things.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
His work is beautiful.
Yeah. So here we talk about how to look and the new thing about Botox. There's a lot of people putting Botox and how what's the price of beauty basically. Here.
Yes.
So these are the recipes that are made specially for the magazine.
Nice.
And
okay.
Yeah.
You can get a really I understand a strong followership because your magazine is geared toward a certain woman. So we're going to depend on you to give us, cutting edge information.
Yes. So it's something the article it gets you to think, to reflect. And the team, I don't know if you saw at the beginning,
at the top,
magazine, at the top, it says our motto here. Let me go on the top, yes. If I go on the top here, yes. So bien penser means thinking well, and bien vivre is living well, and bien-être is being well. Okay, so those are the three angles that we separate the magazine as. Yeah.
Got you. Nice. Okay.
So mind, body, and soul.
Yes. Okay. Let's get up for Nuances Magazine. Okay. Well, I want to thank you, Phara, for your time. What I would like to do is have you close out with a pearl of wisdom for us. So can you just leave the students with something? These are students that are looking to gain confidence. They're seeking to be leaders in, whatever space that they choose. So what could you leave with our students, just in any space based on your experience in your journey?
I would say you can't do anything by yourself. You can't do anything by yourself. I cannot do the magazine by myself. I cannot think that, even though I know how to do a lot of things, but I cannot do them by myself. And any experience is a good experience. Even though it's a bad experience, it's a good experience to have.
I needed that one for myself, you all. So let's thank Phara Henry, again, founder of Nuances Magazine. You can follow her on Instagram. You can reach her. You all get these pictures to her. I promise you, one of you may be in the magazine. I promise you. At info@nuancesmagazine.com. Phara, thank you so much for your time.
No problem. I'm leaving a code so you could get maybe the the version,
Yes,
numeric.
and we definitely want to support the magazine. So how can we purchase it?
Yeah, so on the website nuancemagazine.com, and I'll just, if I could go quickly and write you a promotional code so you guys can get it
Yes.
at cheaper price.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Let me if I get, yes, this is the code.
Okay, you all, the code is N as in Nancy, capital N as in Nancy, 25, capital A as in Apple, 22. And that's for anybody in the network, you all. Okay, even if you're not part of the school, is capital N 25, capital A as in Apple, 22 is the code. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, you all have a blessed evening, and we'll see you next week for another edition of Model Talk Tuesdays. Bye-bye.